Welcome to the reCALL Project podcast, a look back in time with candor and context, reminiscing of days gone by in Grey County. Your host is Robert Yantorno, Community and Heritage Curator at the South Grey Museum in beautiful Grey Highlands, Ontario. In this episode, Rob is joined by Ken Russell, a lifelong resident of Grey Highlands.
My name is Robert Yantorno, and I am curator at South Grey Museum in beautiful Grey Highlands, Ontario. And it is my pleasure to be speaking with Mr. Ken Russell. Hello, Ken.
Hello there.
Ken, let's hop right to it because you're an eager guy. I can see.
Oh, yeah.
Where and when were you born?
I was born at Grandma Noon's here in Flesherton, 1937.
You see, it makes me very excited to hear you say that. What do you remember about your birth?
Oh, everything. I think I maybe started remembering stuff when I was about 6.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, Grandma Noon. So, how did you end up at Lizzie Noon's baby store in the village of Flesherton?
Well, I come from a family of 12.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's all.
There was no cable TV back in those times.
There was no cable TV, and there was a lot of snowstorms. Anyway, my last 3 siblings were born at Grandma Noon's. I would imagine maybe some of my siblings were likely born at home, or I really not sure. But I was born in Grandma Noon's, and she was at that time pretty well everybody was born at Grandma Noon's. Even my wife was born at Grandma Noon's.
Is that where you met?
Yeah. Only she was a lot younger.
So, where was the family farm?
It was on the east back line. If you turn at the park on Highway 10, if you're going up in that little park there where you can pull off.
Yes.
If you turn right there and go back to the end of that road, that's where, and then right on the left-hand side was where I was born, where I was raised. And actually, I farmed that farm after my dad retired for, 15 years or so.
So, what can you tell me about your young life?
Well, we didn't have a lot of money. I realized, and not that it made any difference to me, because I couldn't have carried less at that age. But anyway, I grew up with sisters, virtually grew up with sisters, because my 2 oldest siblings were girls, and my baby sister was, of course, a girl. So I grew up with girls. I know they pestered the devil out of me. Not that I ever pestered the devil out of them. Anyway, and I do remember they used to, I did have hair back then, and I know they used to spend a lot of time curling my bloody hair, and I think they dressed me up a lot, but we had fun. And we were, as long as we showed up at 12 o'clock and 6 o'clock, that was basically what you had to do. What you did the rest of the time, as long as you got your jobs done, because we all had something to do.
Tell me about some of those jobs. What kind of chores did you have on
I
the
would
farm?
probably have to carry in wood, fill up the wood box, make sure it was full. And that would be all, even in the summer, because that's what my mother baked on, was a wood stove. Because we didn't get hydro till 1949, which I would be 12. So before that, everything was done on the cook stove, and it had a big cook stove, and they had a boiler on that where the water would be in, and that would be your warm water. They had a cistern. There was a cistern there, and there was a pump in the kitchen, a water pump, just one of those old water pumps. And when you come in, they just went and they pumped the water out of the cistern and washed your hands right there, and then that was. But yeah, it was different.
Right on.
Yeah.
So tell me about, what do you remember about farm life at that time? Did everyone you know also live on a farm? Did you spend much time in town?
Oh, I didn't spend any time in town. I was a shy little bugger at that time.
A lot of things have changed.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah. No, we would go to town maybe on Saturday night. Saturday and Wednesday nights were open nights in town. And that's...
In Markdale?
No, here in Flesherton.
Okay.
We always came to Flesherton.
Why did you come to Flesherton and not
Because
Markdale?
it was closer. It's what would be 2.5 miles to Flesherton, and would be 6 miles to Markdale.
And how did you get from the farm to town?
Horse and buggy, horse and cutter, horse and sleigh. It was always, yeah. Yeah, I think about, I don't know what year my dad got his first car. I know the one I do remember was a 1949 Ford. That was his first new car, and I remember it. But he had cars before that. He had a Model T, actually.
Oh, yeah. Right on.
Yeah, he got that. That's quite a story if you want to hear it.
I would love to hear it.
Well, my dad and mother went to Idaho. A whole bunch of people went to Idaho from this area. My mom and dad came from Rock Mills. They both grew up right around Rock Mills. You know where Rock Mills Church is there?
Yeah. They were from downtown Rock Mills?
Yeah. Well, they were just... My dad was raised just up over the hill from downtown Rock Mills.
Okay.
And my mom was just down the road, raised down the road a little piece.
What were their names?
Dad was Fred Russell and my mother was Lillian Fisher. Anyway, I know my dad went out on they used to call them, I guess, harvest excursions, and they go out west and work all, for the fall and that. And one of my oldest uncle, he was out there, and then he went down to Idaho and just loved it there, and he stayed. So eventually my other uncle went out, and they started farming. And when they were farming out there, well, my dad went out whenever he was even younger, and he was out there before he was married, and he was putting in ditches for irrigation. They were just starting irrigation then, and I know the Snake River. They had to be using some of the water of the Snake River because that's where they were. And then anyway, the long story short, my uncle got married. One uncle got married and went out there, and then his wife just hated it out there. So he talked my dad into going out and taking over his farm, and he came back here. So they were there, and he grew a huge crop of potatoes, huge. And I guess it was he had somewhere around $2,000, which was a lot of money at that time, and he had it in a bank. And my uncle was out there, said to him, "Fred, you get that money out of that bank because they're going to go, they're going to go, they're not going to survive." Didn't pay any attention. Lost it all.
You're kidding.
Lost it all. So anyway, getting back to the car, they came here, and eventually they come back. Well, I had two oldest brothers were born out in Idaho, and then they come back to here and set up farming. And whenever Dad went he was in about two different farms, and then they ended up in the East Back Line. Anyway, he got that farm, and he was there. And Downs, I think, was the name of the people in town that had Elf Down had the dealership, and he had this. So he came out and he pestered the devil out of my dad to buy a car. And he said, "I have no damn money to buy a car. I can't buy a car." So they kept pestering him. He said, "Well, I'll tell you what I'll do." He said, "I got a slip from this bank for X number of dollars, whatever it was, whenever it went bankrupt. And if you want that, I'll take the car." They took it. Whether they ever got any money or not, he never did find out.
Huh. And the car that he got was a Ford Model T.
Model T. And when I was a kid, I remember, I guess they drove it till it wouldn't run anymore, because the body of it was down in, there's a river ran through our farm, and it was just all willows and, just really soft. And that's where the old body of the old car ended up.
Amazing.
Yeah. And it had lots of bees in it, too.
Yeah, I guess so.
I found that out.
And you could get the Model T in any color you wanted.
Yeah, black.
As long as it was black, that's right. Well, that's amazing. There's pictures of, the museum just put up a picture a little while ago online, 1913, at the Markdale train station of a bunch of Model Ts being unloaded.
Yeah.
And the Model T was incredible because before that, people got around on horses and buggies.
Horse and buggy, horseback or walked.
Right on.
And there was a lot of it was walking.
Yes,
because
sir.
we had to walk to school.
So tell me about school. Where was your school?
Orange Valley.
Orange Valley, I know that.
Yeah.
Right on. It's off Highway 10.
It's now a house.
That's right, that gray house.
Yeah.
What was school like?
Well, I guess it was great as far as I know. I know the first 2 years I didn't learn a damn thing. Pardon my English, but the teacher had absolutely no control over the school whatsoever. And I was in grade 1 and 2, and of course I didn't want to learn anyway. So that was just fine.
How did you get to school?
Walked, most of the time. We might get a ride now and again, but it was rare.
And would you walk in like a group of children?
Well, yeah, I'd have my 2 sisters with me, and so there'd usually be another neighbor kid or maybe 2, and as you went, you picked up kids on the way.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, we would walk to school, and it was fine. Anyway, when I think I was in grade 2 or 3. Do you know Tom McGee?
Yes.
His mother taught me.
Okay.
She was a great teacher, and she got to like me. For some unknown reason, she really liked me.
I can't imagine that.
I can't either. Anyway, she just poured it right to me, and I eventually did learn what I should have been learning in grade 1 and 2. But I finally caught up. I imagine I was 14, I think, when I got out of public school, and I didn't even have to write my final exam.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then, so tell me about your school experience. What did you guys do for fun when you were kids?
Oh, we
What
played.
hijinks did you get up to?
Yeah. We used to play. We'd play ball in the summer, in the spring, in the summer, or when maybe in the fall. We'd play softball, and then we played a lot of soccer. Because I know I got pretty damn good at soccer. I was the big kid in there. I was the biggest kid at the last couple of years at school. So I would take about 4 little wee guys, and they'd be on my team, and then we'd take on the rest of the school. Right and on. We usually beat them. And that would be our noon hour. Or we'd play touch tag, or, it was just, it would just be a riot all the time.
Right on.
Yeah.
And where'd you go to high school?
In Flesherton.
In Flesherton?
Yeah.
Tell me about so you went to the old high school? I
started out in the old high school, and it burnt when I was in grade 9.
Okay, but you had nothing to do with that, did you?
I thought about it. No, not really.
So that's amazing, because that was one of the first rural high schools. Yeah.
Well, all my family didn't go to high school. My both sisters did. And 2 brothers, my 2 oldest brothers, actually got BAs, and the rest of us never went any beyond high school.
Okay.
Which is really kind of strange, but I don't know why.
You seem to have turned out okay.
Well, yeah, but I think it was life experiences more than anything.
Likely.
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't do too bad in high school, although I didn't have a lot of. My parents never really pushed. They didn't push you to, if you got your homework done, you got your homework done, and you were supposed to get it done. But if you didn't, there was never any big hullabaloo about it or anything.
Try not to swear.
Yeah.
So tell me about, what do you remember about the high school?
Well, I know whenever I first went to high school, I was just totally right out of my orbit, because I was the big kid in public school. I'm grade 8, and I go there, and then I'm just a little wee guy. And I don't know, I remember, it was fine, and I made some really great friends. And I think I got then it got better. You know, as you go along, you get better. Of course, you get bigger too.
Right.
And we went to. I was in grade 9 when the school burnt at. I think it was in the winter, and I remember I lost my. What did I lose? My skates. I forget what else I lost in that fire. We only missed 2 days of school. I thought we're going to have a whole long vacation. We missed 2 days.
Rats.
We went to the United Church, where we went to one or two classes. I think my home form was at United Church. Then we went over to the Masonic Hall. There was 2 classes in there, and then we went to the library.
Okay, and the library was in that old house.
Yes.
That is so cool. You know, I never knew that.
And we had, well, in the fall and the spring, we had our PT in the arena. Okay. The old arena was right there too, where the seniors' home is.
The seniors' home.
You know, there's this.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah, that's where the old arena. That's where the original arena was.
Okay. And when did that come down?
Oh, that would be in the 50s.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, it was a wooden arena?
Oh yeah. Oh, it was just like an old barn. You know, it didn't have artificial ice or anything. It was just a great big old barn.
Yeah.
But I played hockey in there.
Did you, eh?
Oh yeah.
What was that like?
Oh, we had a great time. Guess I learned hockey on a pond just down the road. We had a pond, and there was a family down the road, Leux's, and they had about the same number of kids as we did. And we'd get down to this pond, we'd clean her off, and we'd spend all day Sunday and all day Saturday down there playing hockey. And anyway, I ended up playing on hockey in Flesherton for quite a few years, but we won 2 championships in Flesherton.
Right on.
Yeah.
And against whom did you win?
Oh, we would play Markdale, Dundalk, Shelburne, Honeywood, Rockland, maybe.
Who was the best team? Obviously you, because you won the championship.
Shelburne was a really good team, and Markdale had a decent team. They had one outstanding player that we could just, you know, just wouldn't let him move. Huh. We just knew enough that, no, you're not going to score a goal.
So can you tell me a little bit about like maybe the sports rivalries between these different towns?
Oh gosh, it got really wild. You know, some of it got really, really wild. They really took it really serious. Hockey was really serious. They also had senior teams then. Boy, would they go at her. And you know, they'd fill those old arenas up in playoff time. Even when we were juveniles, we used to fill the old rink up.
Okay.
You know, there'd be, I imagine they get 200 or 300 people in the bloody old barn.
Wow.
Because you know, you'd go all the way down the boards and you'd have maybe 3 deep.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Jeez. So when you say these rivalries would get pretty wild, what does that mean?
Well, you would got to know who your opposition was, and you got to know who you had to really lay into, and
So,
yeah, and the fans got right into it. You know, oh, you could hear them for a mile away.
that's amazing.
Yeah, you know, it was. You know, I think as kids we had a lot more fun than the kids do now.
Why do you say that?
Because we only played hockey. If we got onto the ice by New Year's, and we'd be done by the middle of March. That was our hockey season, and that's all there was. And we'd have a whale of a time. After that was over, we just went and played ball or whatever else was going on.
Right.
Yeah.
So, did you know much of what was outside your, I guess, radius?
Not really a lot. No.
Tell me about that. Did you have a
Never.
desire to travel? Or
Not really then. No, not really.
did anyone?
I don't think a whole lot. Now, we used to spend a lot of our time as kids visiting our relatives. Like my mom had 4 sisters, and my dad had 6 brothers. So that and they were some of them were around here. I know we had one aunt in Durham. We used to go and visit quite a bit. And we had another aunt in Old Sound that we would visit now and again. That would be about the farthest place we'd go.
Owen Sound is the big city.
Old Sound is a big city.
Huh.
Yeah.
So, Okay, so now you're teenage years.
Yeah.
So you're a teenager in the 50s.
Right.
What was that like?
Well, once I got to be able to drive, which I was doing about by the time I was 12, because whenever I went to get my license, which would be probably 16 then, I think, I went to Markdale, and the guy that did the licenses had the barber shop. Of course, he knew the family, and I went in and got my 60-day or whatever it was at that time. And then he said, "Well, do you want to take the test?" "Well, I might as well." We went in and we drove down Markdale down to the old where the station, turned around, come back up and parked. "Figured you'd be able to drive," he said. "No, I guess might as well give you your permanent license."
Sounds pretty formal.
Oh, it was formal.
Right on.
That's
Well,
how.
I guess he had decent enough judgment.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, he probably knew I'd been driving forever. Just on the back road. I would never go to town or anything, but.
Where was his barbershop?
Seniors, you know where the Seniors is?
Yes.
Right across the road from the Seniors. It was the first shop just right at that end.
I see.
Yeah. That
On the corner there?
Yeah, you went around, you would go around the corner, and just when the last door on that building.
Yes.
That's where his shop was.
What was his name?
Alcox, Wally Alcox.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So, getting back for
Yeah.
a second, do you remember anything about the Second World War? Do you remember rations? Do you remember soldiers coming back? Do you remember anything in the papers?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot about it. Really, it was. I guess we knew it was going on, and we certainly knew people that somebody that was there, or even we would know people that were killed there, obviously. But really, no, I don't think the war really had a great. I know stuff was rationed. I knew that, but it really didn't. Well, it did affect us because you couldn't get sugar or, some of that. But as far as the regular, like potatoes and meat and that,
You
they just grew it. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's skip back to the 50s. So it's the 50s, and it's a Friday night. How are you spending your time?
Well, once I got that I could drive, I usually had to take my sisters, and we would go to a dance, maybe in Priceville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where in Priceville?
Where the hall is now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Stoddard Hall.
Stoddard Hall.
Okay.
No, there was a little hall before Stoddard Hall was built. There was a little hall. Where was it? If you know where the old school was in Priceville, it was just down the road from it. It was in that area somewhere.
Gotcha.
I remember we used to go there all the time. I guess the main reason we went to that was that my sister's girlfriends were out there. So that's where they wanted to go. So wherever they wanted to go, that's where poor old Kenny had to take them.
Oh yeah, that sounds terrible. Being surrounded by women, that must have been awful. Ken.
Oh, it was awful. It was just awful.
What kind of music? What kind of music was played?
Well, that would be all. It would all be dance music, like basically the old country western style stuff. There'd be a shot east, and there'd be a waltz, and there'd be a round dance, and then there'd be a square dance. So.
And who was playing the music? Was it on a record player? Or was it a live band?
They'd have somebody there playing. There'd probably be. I can't really remember who all was playing, but they'd have a little band. There'd always be a band at wherever we went.
And around what time of night would it end?
Oh, probably start around 9 o'clock, and we'd probably get out of there at midnight.
Okay.
Yeah, I would think, yeah. Because there was dances in Flesherton here as well.
Right on.
We'd go to them.
Where are they here?
Usually in the old fraternal hall.
Okay.
Yeah, most of them were in the fraternal hall.
Downstairs?
Downstairs, yeah. Well, that's where all the dances were in Flesherton.
Oh, yeah.
In the fraternal hall.
What was Flesherton like back then?
It was booming back then compared to today. There was 3 grocery stores.
Really?
3 grocery stores, and at least 3. The creamery was there. The chopping mill was there, or where you took your. Oh yeah, there was a variety store. There was a hardware store. There was a barber shop. Of course, there was insurance agents, garages. Yeah, it was actually, and at that time, I knew pretty well everybody in Fleshman. Because either I'd be related to them or know them some other way.
So what was that like, knowing everybody in town? When you walked into town, how was that?
Oh, that was just, you knew everybody. You just, and if you didn't, you stopped to talk to them anyway. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
So that's the 50s. And then what happened? What was your life like after high school?
Well, my mother died when I was still in high school, so I was kind of lost, I suppose. And anyway, it don't really matter. We and my dad remarried, so my brother and I bought the farm.
Okay.
Yeah, from him, and that's what I did for. Oh, actually, I had two other brothers. One had a farm right across the road from the school, and another brother had a farm at Irish Lake.
Oh, yeah. Across the school at Orange Valley?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. One brother was there. So we all worked together. Like we would work together. If we had bought a baler, we'd just buy one baler and we just bale all that, do all that. Or if we had one thrashing machine, we just that type of thing. And we'd work together all the time.
Were you partial to any make of tractor?
We had a Massey Ferguson. We bought, I guess the first tractor we had was a red belly Ford, just a little wee. And then I know whenever we started farming, our first tractor was a Massey Ferguson 35.
Nice.
And then whenever we sold out in, we've been in Markdale 20 years, so that was just around that time. We had an auction sale, and I sold the Massey Ferguson at the sale for more than what we paid for it.
That's not bad.
Yeah.
Shrewd negotiator.
Well, I don't think so. Just luck.
I guess so.
But it was a great tractor. Really, really, really was. We had a lot of other tractors, but it was the one. If I know whenever I had a lot of nephews and nieces and stuff, and even my kids. If you wanted, and they learned to drive a tractor pretty young.
How young?
Oh, probably 9, 10.
That's pretty old. The youngest that I've heard was 4 or 5.
Well, I don't think they even let me near it. And I wouldn't let my kids anymore. Oh, I'd take them on a tractor, but I wouldn't let them drive it. Well, I shouldn't say they could drive, but I'd be on the seat too.
9 or 10, that's pretty young.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, they would, But if you said, well, I want you to do, well, I want the Massey Ferguson, always. So it was easier to drive.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about the farming experience back then. What was that like?
Oh, we were into everything. We did. We had milk cows. We had pigs. We had 4 or 5 sows, and then we'd have milk cows. I guess we got rid of the horses just about the time. Well, we still had them when we took over the farm. We didn't have them much after that, but we still had horses. We used them occasionally. If we were going out to load grain, but that time you're using the binder and the, stook it. The horses were the best thing because all you had to do is say get up, and they moved 10 feet, and you could tell them to stop.
Right on.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something about it's amazing. Like the tractor, it's a mechanical horse.
Yeah.
But it's still a tractor and not a horse.
It's not a horse. That's right. Oh, the horses were. I didn't mind working with the horses, but of course I didn't plow 100 acres with them either. So I guess if I'd have been older, like some of my brothers, I wouldn't have been. Well, I liked the horses, but still,
right.
It was hard work. There was a lot of hard work to that.
So when did you get married? When did you start having children?
What did we get married? Donna was raised just up the road. You know where the Mennonites are now with the great big brick house?
Yes, beautiful, on Highway 10 with
yeah.
the maple syrup for sale.
Yeah.
Lovely house.
That's where my mother was raised.
I see.
Not my mother, my wife.
Okay.
That's where Donna was raised there.
And this is Donna Lever
Yeah,
Russell,
that's
former
right.
curator of this museum.
Yeah, that's her. Yeah. Anyway, she was. That's where she was raised.
And how did you meet her?
They had an old home week here in, would it be 53? I guess I'd imagine. And we had it was a really big do. The old home would just packed with people. So of course, they had a dance every night, and I went to the dance one night, and I took her cousin home. And the next night, I guess we got dancing with her that night, and I took her home, and it just blossomed from there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Do you remember what you were wearing?
Oh, I wouldn't know. I really have no idea. It would just be a shirt and a pair of pants, a pair of dress pants and a shirt.
Right on.
Yeah.
So tell me about Old Home Week.
Oh, it was just quite a blast.
What was it? Tell me about the idea of Old Home Week.
Well, they just, it was just for everybody that had ever lived here came home. That's what the idea was. And they did come home. And they come home in droves. And it was, they'd have dances. I know they had one dance in, I think that was the Old Home Week. They had a couple of them that were really good. And they they'd all come home, they'd have a parade, they had all kinds they'd have a ball games, they'd have, and the parade would be, they'd just have, I don't know how many floats, it would maybe be an hour going through town.
Right.
Of course, at that time it didn't matter because you could start wherever you liked and go wherever you liked. And there wasn't that much traffic, so who cared?
That's right. Highway 10's a bit busier now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I know we used to, we lived in the back lane. If a car went up the road, you had to run to see who it was.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
Jeez. Okay, so you meet Donna,
Yeah.
and then when do the kids come?
I guess Connie, our daughter, arrived, and I guess we were married a year and a half when Connie was born.
Where were you married?
We were married in the United Church here at Flesher.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. We both actually... I likely went to no, I shouldn't say. My parents went either to the Baptist church or the United Church, and it didn't seem to really matter to them where we went. They went to both. Some Sundays you go to one, some Sundays you go to the other. It didn't seem to make any difference. So at that time, my family was going to the United Church, and Donna's family was going to the United Church. So obviously that's where we got married.
Okay. And you did the reception at the church as well?
No, the reception was at the Fraternal Hall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember what they served? Who did the cooking?
The ladies auxiliary or the the Orange Lodge ladies.
Okay.
Yeah, it was the ladies of the Orange Lodge that did the... I think we had chicken. I think we had roast chicken. Probably roast beef too. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, I guess so.
Oh yeah. Anyway, and I know the dessert that they served was a pineapple. It was a pineapple dessert. Oh, was it ever good? I know my wife still makes it at Christmas time.
Fantastic. Right on.
Yeah.
I'm very partial to my Zia Anna, that's my Aunt Anna,
Yeah.
her pineapple upside down cake.
Yeah.
This was very popular in the late 1980s.
Yeah.
So yeah, we share taste in pineapple desserts.
Yeah, well, it was just unbelievable good.
Right on.
And then we had our meal there, and then we had a dance after in the
hall.
In the hall.
Okay. So your kids come. It's 60s now.
Yeah.
What's it like raising kids around here?
Oh, it was a lot easier than it is now, I'll tell you.
Why do you say that?
Because you didn't have to worry. You didn't have to worry about, you knew everybody that lived around you, and you knew who to tell the kids, don't you go there. but it wasn't. There was very few of that.
And did your kids also have the? Could your kids also roam as long as they were
Oh
back
yeah,
for supper? Yeah.
Yeah, if they wanted to, they. I know they. And again, this was still in the same. It was on the East Back Line where I was raised. Whenever they grew up to be, they would be. What was Jeff? Probably 7 or 8 when we moved to the highway, because we bought Donna's farm.
Okay.
Where she was raised.
Yeah.
We bought that. I can't even tell you what year. I should know, but anyway, when we sold the farm in the East Back Line and bought the one up here. That would be in the early 80s, I guess.
And your kids would have did they still go to the one-room schoolhouse for the last couple of years?
No.
Or did they go to the McPhail school here?
They went to McPhail school.
Okay.
Yeah. They were, by that time, they were busing kids to the school.
Gotcha.
Actually, the last 2 years I went to high school, I got bused. I think maybe, no, I think I went all the time I was in high school, there was a bus, right? Because the bus route he'd have 2 routes. The bus driver we had, he had one that went to Priceville in that area, and then he did our route, which would just be up the highway and the back line and back in.
What was the bus driver's name?
Steve Sutton.
Do you remember what the bus looked like?
Oh yeah, it was just an old, just like an old panel truck.
Okay.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
What was the seatbelt arrangement like?
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Actually, I think, if I remember right, I think it just had a row of seats down each side.
Okay.
I think that's what it was now. It's been, that's, when I think about it, it was, but that was fine. But he would just make it, if I imagine the time we got back, we must have had 12 kids on there, I would think. So I don't know what the seating was really, but it wasn't big.
And it got you there and back.
It got us there and back, yeah.
There you go.
Because I know the one year I went to, last year I went to high school. The bus was going to pick me up at 6:45 or something like that. It was on. I said, I'm not going to ride in the bus. Because the neighbors down the road, it was just down, well, not quite a mile. He took the kids into school every day anyway. So I would go down. I'd just walk down there and catch a ride with them. I'd get a ride home on the bus, but I didn't go on it because I'm not getting on at 7 o'clock. Because he had to be there early, and then you'd go in and then he'd go and do his other route. So
Right.
So one year it was you were early, and the next year we were late. Like I think that's the way it seemed to work anyway.
Okay. So now you have kids. It's the 70s. Tell me about the 60s, 70s in this area. Are things starting to change, or?
There was change going on all the time, and it was, farming was changing really, really fast.
In what way? How was farming changing?
It was, you had to get bigger and bigger and bigger. Because at that time we put up a 300, we could put 300 pigs into a barn, a pig barn that would hold 300 pigs. We, in hindsight, it wasn't the most brilliant thing we ever did, but we did it anyway, and it worked all right for a while. But it was, if you got disease in there, you were in big, big trouble. Anyway, that's.
Where did that pressure come from to get bigger and to produce more?
Because you had to make more money. It cost you more money to operate, like. Nothing like it is now, but it was, it was just, everything was going up. Like fertilizer just kept going up. Your seed grain just kept going up. Everything you touched.
What do you think caused the prices to go up? Where did it all start?
Well, I guess it's inflation. I don't know. It was just, and I guess if you can make an extra buck, you just set the price up a little bit. It's something like the way gas prices are now for gouging, I guess.
Gotcha.
I would think there'd be a certain amount of that going on. I don't really know, but.
And when did farmers really start to feel that pressure that you recall?
I would think in the mid '60s. I think the mid '60s, you just had to either get bigger, or at that point in time, I don't know when did I go to decide that Well, after the kids started school, Donna went back to work. And shortly after that, I went to work too, outside the farm. I went and worked in the arena. The arena that they're now.
Okay.
I went to work there just as part-time. I ended up managing the arena for about 5 years.
Oh, right on.
Yeah.
Around what time?
Oh, that would be the late 50s. No.
60s.
Oh, that'd be in the 60s. That'd be 60, probably into the 70s. Yeah, I started to work at the school in the 80s, so it would be before that. I was working at the, because after when I got the job as a custodian at the school, that's whenever I left the arena.
Okay.
Yeah.
So tell me about some of the changes that you've seen in your part of the world from then to now, because you've seen a tremendous amount of change in your life.
Oh,
Ken is rubbing his temples now.
Oh, it was really, it's just, it's mind-boggling, really. Because, as I say, when I was a little kid, our power was horses. Then it got, and then you went from one, you would have a tractor that would maybe be 20 horsepower, and I think the last tractor we had would be 100, at least 100, maybe more horsepower, because it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. So, and everything just got bigger. And faster. Everything just, life just got faster. I know when I was a kid, life was really, of course, that's only my perspective, but life was pretty slow. It wasn't slow, but you didn't have to get too excited. But now when you get in, life just got faster, and then, I don't know how you explain it all. It was just, it's actually mind-boggling when you stop and think about it.
What's your opinion on this? Is that better, worse, different? What's gotten better? What hasn't gotten better? Or I guess we could say worse.
Well, I think the Mennonites have a way better perspective on life than anybody else around that I can see.
Tell me about that.
Because I think they're pretty well. Well, they're not. They're really industrialized too, but in some ways. In other ways, their family structure is really the family structure, and it still is. Back when there were, the last 25 years, family didn't seem to mean too much anymore, to a lot of people. But family was, back when I was a kid, family was everything. That's what it was.
Why do you think that changed?
I think, again, just because of the speed of, everything speeding up and changing, and if you wanted to make, if you wanted to really make something out of yourself, you had to go. It wasn't here. There was no jobs here unless you were a farmer or lucky enough to work for some of the merchants in town or whatever. But other than that, there was, like, Chapman's definitely wasn't here, and any of those, that type of thing. There was none of that around here. So if you wanted a decent paying job, because pretty well all my friends just disappeared. They went to work for Hydro or Bell Telephone or whatever, because there was nothing else. If you didn't go on to school, then you had to go out and find a job.
So, this is one of my favorite parts of this interview. I ask people what it is that they've learned in their life that they would have told their younger selves, and that they think that other people should know. Well, not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
What's it all about? How do I live a good life, Ken?
The thing is, I think modern life now is way, way, way too fast. Like I personally, if you could slow down and smell the roses occasionally, you'd be a lot better off. Because when you're just running full out all the time, it just does not work. It isn't, to me it don't anyway. But I think that's probably one of the biggest things is you have to be able to stop and smell the roses occasionally or you're, and most people don't get around to doing that now. Or a lot of people don't. I do because I'm old.
Congratulations. You're not old, you're a classic. What happens when you slow down and what happens when you slow down and smell the roses? What's the utility in slowing down?
Probably stop and play with the kids for a while. Take a half an hour and go and play ball with them, or whatever, something like that. Just you don't have to be running full out. Just stop just stop and lean over the fence and talk to the neighbor for half an hour. It was usually a good theory, or that was good for you. Would be
What's your opinion of social media?
Oh, it's fine, but I think it's just a disaster because nobody talks about anybody anymore. They don't sit down like you and I right now and having a chat. No. You haven't got time for that. You have to get on your phone and use your fingers. And that's really too bad. And the art of having a good conversation or getting together and just enjoying each other's company, it's that's the biggest problem I see anyway. With it's taken away a lot of the social activities of a young person.
I think a lot of people agree with you. I think what's happened is technology accelerated so quickly over the 20th century
yes.
and now into the 21st
yes.
century that it's as if humanity is trying to keep up.
Yeah.
It really evolved fast, and now there's so much information that gets beamed at you.
Oh, all the time. I know whenever going back to whenever I was on the East Back Line as a kid, we had the old telephone that was on the wall that you had to crank, and there would be at least 10 people on the line.
Okay, tell me about that. When you say 10 people on the line, what does that mean?
That means if you heard the neighbor's phone ring, you went and picked it up and listened to see what was going on. And everybody up and down the line did the same thing.
Now, there was a Bell telephone office here in Flesherton?
Yes.
Okay, there was an operator in that office?
Oh yes. The operator was there. Actually, my mother-in-law that's the job she had.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did
Donna's
she know?
Mother.
So did she know everything that was going on in town?
Oh yeah. So did everybody. Yeah, of course they did.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. But maybe it wasn't quite as bad as I pretended that was. But that's how you got a lot of the news. Would be, you'd hear the phone ring. Oh, that's Teeters. I'll have to go and listen and see what they're doing today. Or somebody. Of course, there was half a dozen of us in the house at any one time, so whoever was nearest the phone got to listen.
That's right. Right on, sir. Well, Ken, this has been a real pleasure. Anything else that you'd like to say to go on the record?
Oh, I don't know. There's likely a lot of. I could tell you stuff that would just make your hair rise.
Give me one or two.
My neighbors. Our neighbors I had. Neighbors down the road by the name of Louses. And Eddie, he was a classic. And I think they had 11 kids. And two of their boys were this. One was a little older than me, and the other was just a little younger. So I spent a lot of time there. Oh, could he swear? It was just wild. And that's the one I used to go down and ride the school bus with. And he would, in the morning, I always made sure I got down there good early, so because I always knew I was going to get entertainment. I would be sitting waiting for them to get ready to go. Oh, it was just hilarious. Well, I guess they didn't find it hilarious, but I did.
And you would enjoy hearing some of the colorful language.
Oh, I learned it all.
There we go. Well, maybe I'll push stop and you can teach me some of those words.
Yeah.
Ken, this has been a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you. And if you ever want to do it again, we'll do some more.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. This has been the reCALL Project. I'm Robert Yantorno, and it was my pleasure to be speaking with a Mr. Ken Russell. Take care.
The reCALL Project is produced by Fiat Lux Media and the Pod Plant, with financial support from the COVID-19 Support Fund for Cultural, Heritage, and Sports Organizations from the Ministry of Heritage, Sport, Tourism, and Culture.